Sugar cubes in saltwater. Love, longing, gratitude, grief. A poetry collection by Carrie Lee Baker. Dedication. I dedicate this poetry collection to those in my life who have constantly shown me unconditional love, support, and encouragement throughout everything. To anyone who has ever encouraged me to keep writing, teachers, friends, loved ones, strangers, I cherish those comments and think of them often. Finally, to those we've all loved and lost along the way, these poems wouldn't exist without each and every one of you. I love you. Preface. Dear reader, this poetry collection was intended to be universal. While the poems I've included have been inspired by my own life experiences, nearly everything within can easily apply to anyone. With these words I've arranged, it is my hope that I am able to provoke certain feelings and memories. Within these pages you'll find letters of a love so strong and true it can never wither, painful devotion of seemingly endless longing, thoughts of immeasurable gratitude, regretful laments of unimaginable loss. Keep in mind that walking all of those paths individually isn't necessary for a complete understanding of what's written here. But there is just one small requirement. Love must exist within your heart. I would like to thank everyone for listening to this author's commentary of Sugar Cubes and Saltwater. I will be giving context for each poem before I read them to kind of give a window into where my head was during the creation of each poem. I feel like it's not only important to fully understand where I was coming from, but also maybe give some insight that otherwise wouldn't be seen. So thanks again for listening. Thanks again for reading. It means a lot to me, and I hope you enjoy. Part 1. Love. Alpining is a poem all about finding a soulmate. Whether that be a romantic soulmate, a friendship soulmate, someone who's so important to you you can't imagine your life without, and irregardless of what that relationship looks like, you will always be there for that person in any way they need you. Being able to learn as much about somebody as possible is the most intense kind of love there is, and it doesn't always have to be romantic. In fact, it usually isn't, and that's what alpining is about. Alpining. Making footprints in my mind, going up along steep ridges, down deep into lush valleys, slowly taking in the most beautiful mountain range I have ever seen. A natural wonder I am unworthy of viewing, or even being aware of. I thought just to witness the beauty in photos, gradually getting lost from afar would be enough. That gazing longingly for hours, willingly becoming trapped, being forever frozen between the snow-capped peaks only in my imagination would be satisfactory. But no, I desire to explore. I desire? No, I vow. To recall every footpath around danger, name every boulder who's been ignored, maintain every malnourished botanical, take count of every fallen snowflake, every inch possible cared for, every moment peaceful perfection, sacred serenity. Never to claim as my own, only ever to be of service to my Eden's ancient majesty, with all my being until the end of eternity. Intertwined was a very fun poem to write. It's about meeting a twin flame and being able to tell almost immediately that it was meant to be, that it was written in whatever code our universe is written in. Being able to find a person that you were always supposed to find is a magical moment, and that's what this poem's about. Intertwined. You walked your own path of darkness. For years you wandered through a dark and damp forest. Fear and pain were your only companions. But somewhere deep within the void, you stumble into a gate. Uncertain of trespass at first, you reach out to simply feel what's there. Something tangible, anything at all. As soon as your energy is within reach, mechanisms somewhere unseen start to click. Locks shift, glass breaks, metal bends. As the gate slowly creaks open, you realize you aren't alone in the dark. You've found something here. Although you can't explain it, you can feel it. Your hand reaches into the darkness with longing and desperation, but so does another. The connection that results, beyond the ability of comprehension. It feels of shared spirit, intertwined energy, purpose braided with destiny. Perhaps you and I were never truly alone at all. Maybe we were always bound to meet in every timeline, every universe possible, meant to lead each other, hand in hand through the darkness, in which we will forever walk together. Cravings is a very interesting poem. It's about the early moments in a crush where that person is ruling all of your thoughts. Day and night, hour by hour, they're all you can think about, and how hopeless that can sometimes feel. Even though it's a beautiful feeling, it can be scary. And I tried to capture that feeling in Cravings. Cravings. With the sweet scent of honeydew, your fingertips caress my thigh, sending electricity through each cell directly to my brain, branding a memory that will last a lifetime, tattooing your name on every dream. I gasp in the night, awoken not from terror, but fear all the same. I blink and stare into the dark, unsure between realities. It's been hours since we've talked, even longer since we last touched. The next meeting was even arranged, so why do I crave your energy so strongly? Can I no longer keep control? It's only been mere hours, not even half a score. It's not just a desire, it's a necessity. I wish to smell you on my clothes. Am I broken? I swear I feel you breathe. Am I dreaming? I long for your subtle touch once again. Am I hopeless? I lay quietly in the dark, trying to decide where each path leads me. Which is sweeter, which is more painful, but I can't. Either way, conscious or asleep, the craving of you rules all of my thoughts. Historical is a poem not only about lovers who can appreciate history, but also that the history appreciates the lovers, and that it's a symbiotic relationship between us who are alive now and those who lived and loved before us, and the lucky buildings and houses that get to see both lifetimes. That is where historical comes from. Historical. It was like lightning, striking without warning, stunningly beautiful, unimaginably powerful, bringing into my life a warmth reminiscent of the sun. As the light flashed, I saw glimpses of a forgotten place, long dreamed of but very seldom seen, somewhere I thought I'd never reach. The room shown to me smells of cinnamon and spice. It exudes comfort and safety. It feels of love and understanding, all of which strobes before me while I stand still, unsure if you're reality or a dream. This opportunity that lies before us is one we probably shouldn't ignore. Connections as instantaneous as the one we found deserve to be nurtured, with impenetrable walls of protection. May we add to the countless stories these walls could tell, absorb the energies of the past lovers that used to dwell here, hold each other tightly as the spirits of old flit along their ancient paths. Listen to the stories told by the wise old lumber that surrounds us. Among the history of what once lived and loved here, we will quietly write our own chapters, not knowing exactly where the ink we set will lead us. But oh, are we ever so eager to grab the pen. Pudding is probably the most sultry poem I've ever written. It is a sapphic take on dessert, which happens to be quite obvious once you understand that it's a sapphic take. I don't know if I really need to explain much more. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed writing it. Pudding. Dessert was always my favorite. Sweet salvation after a savory experience. A sugary lifeline sent only for you, to rescue you from the saltiness of the day. But to me, there is something specific in mind that rises above all else, above all other confections. It doesn't require sugar, nor does it call for honey or cream, but I can indulge in its deliciousness without end. All day long even, only if my jaw would allow, willingly forgoing a spoon altogether. I will never tire of the flavor, or cease to crave the texture on my tongue, swirling and lapping when needed to maintain control, trying to prevent as many drips as possible from escaping. Ice cream and pudding for the final course, at the end of a very long and humid night. Though I always eat my fill, I often find myself insatiable afterwards, cursed to desire more, destined to endlessly hunger for its sweetness until the end of time. While I know there will most likely be a next time, I will be thinking about the last time until I get the honorable privilege to indulge in you once again. Part 2. Longing. Warmth is about being with someone who gives you those warm and fuzzy feelings, but having to be long distance with that person and not being able to be physically in their life the way you want to. Long distance relationships aren't easy, and you kind of have to take what you can get and store those little pieces of happiness in a box and just kind of go day by day and hope that one day you're together again. I hope you enjoy this one. It means a lot to me. Warmth. I have felt warmth, of course. Many different temperatures, all from different sources. But this warmth is like any other. While in the dead of night, with no moon to light my way, the warmth of a winter jacket doesn't come anywhere close to yours. Just feeling where you've been, if only on a box that you've held for a moment. When my skin senses you without even touching, it's enough to melt the frost within me. If I reach over, I can still feel you lying next to me. If I save your seat while waiting for your return, I feel you leave long after you've walked away. If I open to where your book is marked, I can still feel your hands highlighting the words. We may sometimes be hundreds of miles apart, but your love feels like sunlight through gauze on a wound I cannot find, one that refuses to heal. But eventually, those short moments where your existence still lingers will always fade before me, the cold filling the room, forever trying to erase evidence of what was, but which it cannot control. Although the warmth may fade from my touch, it hasn't gone away. The memory has just been absorbed, stored safely in a box, locked away in secret with the rest of my hopes and dreams. Waves is one of my favorite poems I've ever done. It's about a love that is only going one direction. It's about being in love with somebody who doesn't quite feel the same way, but you're okay with that because they're so important to you that without them, life would be impossible. So you ride the waves and you take the ebb and flow as it comes, and they don't always know what it does to you, but it's worth it to have them in your life in whatever capacity that may be. I hope you enjoy this one. Waves. I need you for survival. Without you, death is inevitable. Every fresh drop is precious, incredibly rare and vital, life-giving to all. But these waves, they're relentless, unknowingly unforgiving, tossing my vessel like a mere toy, up and down, back and forth, slowly destroying, seemingly effortlessly, piece by piece, what little I have left to desperately cling to. All self-respect and strong inhibitions casted into open water, willingly abandoned, but still I sail until I can no longer. Forever brave and hopeful, through all storms, past and future, forever pointing towards the light, aware that I am no ruler of the ocean, but only its humble servant, doomed to drown beneath the waves, and to die as I lived, parched yet saturated, endlessly devoted to the sea. Somewhere is a poem about two people that should be in love but can't be in love just because of the circumstances, and finding comfort in knowing that somewhere in the multiverse things did work out and they are able to be together. I hope you enjoy this one. It makes me quite emotional. Somewhere. It came true somewhere. I just don't know where, but I know it happened. Somewhere in another life, a threshold was reached, fortified walls finally broken down. It has to be true somewhere, but it just isn't here. This is a purgatory type of existence, aimlessly wandering while being aware all along that you are the final map piece I've been missing. If my path had been just a bit different, would everything else be as well? Maybe somewhere. Perhaps one day here, this timeline will give us a true opportunity, but we won't know until it's in front of us. Although it does ease my heart a bit more, knowing that somewhere, in some deeply buried thread, lost within the multiverse, among the infinite number of possibilities. It's almost certainly promised. Somewhere, we are absolutely, madly in love. Home is a very special poem to me. I wrote it as a letter to myself when I'm like 8 or 9, 10 years old. Um, just to kind of remind myself as time goes, just to keep being little, to keep playing, because when it ends, it feels like it really ends. And those moments are precious, those memories are golden. And this poem is to remind myself that I have those. I hope you enjoy. Home. Among the shafts of light shining through the panes of a wall full of windows, I watched the summertime dust dance, riding on the warm breeze, vibrating along with the music in the air. It wasn't always as comfortable as it is now, and this naive happiness won't last much longer. But in this moment, for a little while more, please, just keep playing. Keep seeing the magic in things only you can see. Don't stop chasing after dragonflies to no avail. Pretend you're on an island in the ocean with no escape, or on a dangerous quest in an ancient forest, because all too soon it will be time to leave here. Those apple trees will quickly begin to miss your pull at their winding branches. The horseshoes are guaranteed to forget landing soundly with a ring at the stake. So please, just keep playing. For I know what will happen when that time comes again. The future will ever so rudely welcome itself back uninvited, as it always seems to do. When my eyes open in the morning, I'll feel like crying only just a bit, because I know after the day here is done, my dreams will start once again, and then I can finally just keep playing. Abstention is probably my most cliche longing poem. It's about the self-control it takes not to overstep bounds with someone when you're unsure of how they feel, and almost accidentally settling as friends just out of pure respect for each other. I feel like it happens a lot, especially in sapphic relationships, and I feel like it's very cliche, but it's so real and it's so visceral and painful. I hope you enjoy. Abstention. I try my best to restrain myself. I try so hard to control what I can, somehow convincing myself not to act on every urge, attempting with all my being to keep it at bay, barely succeeding each time. But recently it's become more difficult to keep my emotions once deep within so contained. As we get only closer, I realize how silly I've been, how useless it was to deny what was so obvious, and just how foolish it is to say I deny no longer. For every day so far, and certainly all the rest in line to follow, I will be doing just that. I'll say it's simply out of respect that I don't just reach out and embrace you, though it's also out of cowardice, out of fear that I've misread what I was oh so sure of. Have I thought too much about moments where we're too comfortable? Have I tossed over in my mind too often every subtle touch you probably didn't intend? Perhaps. So instead, I'll just hold my tongue, keep my eyes averted to mere glances, and hope one day I'm not the only one who's barely under control. Part 3. Gratitude. Granted is a poem that's specific to my path of religion and how you don't always find God in a church or in the middle of a big, thick book. It's far more likely that you'll find the presence of a deity within nature, next to a creek, surrounded by trees, listening to the wind, reading the messages that the earth is sending you is far more important than reading the messages that humans have left for you. I hope you enjoy this one. Granted. When I found my creator, I was already shattered, too broken to find myself, so lost that I assumed I was truly alone. While the air was thick with intention, I didn't ask for wealth. I didn't mention fame or even for health. I prayed for a guide, a mentor, a companion, a friend. I thought when a prayer was answered, some light somewhere would shine, someone's blindness would be cured, or someone in desperate need was saved. I've found in the time since, answered prayers sometimes seem ignored, forgotten in the maelstrom, lost among a pile of more important matters. But they've already been answered, either granted or denied. There is no delay in the decision. The only wait is for you to take notice. Don't wallow in despair and doubt. Trust that you will find yourself, eventually crossing paths with exactly who you need, exactly when the time is right. The way you seek has been illuminated. You must only listen to the wind, keep to the correct path, and follow your heart. Steps is one of my favorite and probably one of my most sentimental poems. It is dedicated to step parents, people who aren't obligated to take care of you or love you, but are so willing to do those things. It is one of the highest forms of love, to be able to love someone who isn't your blood and treat them like they are. I tried to write it in a way that if you're someone who doesn't have step parents of any kind, maybe you wouldn't necessarily understand the analogy right away. But if you're someone who does have step parents, you will understand almost immediately. And I think that's beautiful. I hope you enjoy. Steps. Steps laid before you can often be tricky. Climbing while winding, unsure of where you're being led, but having to trust the path before you. Though they're thought of as being all the same, they're all very unique. While most are sufficient, a few may lead you astray. Sometimes you don't always know where exactly they've come from, or why they're being presented before you. You may wonder if the journey ahead will be worth the effort. While it's true that not all steps forward will be lifting you upward, it's also true that some absolutely will. Our only purpose is to keep walking, but theirs is to keep us on the correct path. Trust that the steps that your feet land on have your best interest in mind. Trust that when given the opportunity to lift you up, they will do their absolute best with pride. Because while our purpose may be only keep walking, their purpose is to stay strong, steady and resilient throughout the stride, never wavering, braving wind and rain without wear, always leading and pointing you upward. Their whole entire existence was based on you having somewhere sound to step. Charity is a poem dedicated to a friend of mine that I had in fourth grade. I was starting a brand new school. I didn't know anybody. So for the first couple months, I didn't have hardly any friends. And I spent a lot of time by myself on the playground. And one day, this girl came up to me and asked if I wanted to play. And for a couple months, we were best friends on the playground. And it wasn't until I started making other friends that I realized I didn't see her a whole lot anymore. And I'm not sure if she switched schools or if she went to just spend time with other people. I don't know. It was it was very friendly and very welcoming, and I'm very thankful for that interaction. As short as it was, it meant a lot to me, and it made me feel much more comfortable in a place where I very much wasn't comfortable. And I really appreciate the kindness, and I thank you if somehow you hear this or read this poem. Your friendship meant a lot to me, so I'd like to thank you for that. Charity. Sitting on the merry-go-round all by myself, another lonely day in an unfamiliar place. With an unexpected tap on my shoulder, you appeared. Feeling lonely? You say, as our eyes meet for the first time. I only nod and look down as you go sit across from me. You were kind, sweet, and empathetic, the very sort of friend I needed in such a sad and lonely time. We would play by ourselves, away from the others who teased me for being shy. You always understood how I felt. We would talk sometimes, but we didn't always have to. We could communicate without words, with feelings and intention alone. But when the bell rang to go inside, you would go in a separate door. I assumed to a different classroom, in a different area altogether, because I wouldn't ever see you unless we were outside. Only when I was lonely and all by myself. To this day, I wonder where you would go, where you would come from, who you really were. I don't think the specifics of it all really matter, though. At the core of it, you were a true friend to me, and that's all I ever wanted. You were an angel in every possible sense. I guess I just wanted to say, wherever you are, whoever you are, thank you for being my friend. Included is a poem about families of friends who you have in school who kind of adopt you almost as one of their own. It's something that I feel like only happens a few times in someone's life. Somebody's very lucky if they have more than one second family to call their own. I have more than one, and I'm incredibly fortunate and very thankful for that. This poem is dedicated to those families who accept the friends of their children as their own children and would do anything for them. I hope you enjoy it. Included. There was no relation. You weren't obligated, nor bonded by blood, but an outsider never would have known. I was welcomed immediately, right from day one. never left out or forgotten, included as family from the start. I will be eternally grateful for that. During holidays and birthdays, gatherings of all kinds, summers lost to adventures I wouldn't trade for anything. From two halves of coconut to space wars fought over tea, risk in the moonlight and the magic battles in between. Friendship is sacred, holy and divine, but friendship isn't only that when it lasts a lifetime. When that happens to be the case, it reveals more than just the fact that fun was had and games were played. It shows more than just forced proximity. Friends who you were raised with, those who grew as people alongside you, ones you have weathered the lessons of life with, have a mutual understanding that others will find elusive. That's precisely what makes their souls special. Those who fit that mold are more than simply friends. Those who choose to love you for just being yourself, they're family. Part 4. Grief. Stones was written about rock hunting, and specifically Petoskey stone hunting. It was something that me and my grandfather shared, and over time I have found others that enjoy it. And anytime I can share that hobby with other people, it's super special to me. Not only are you making memories with your rock hunting partner, but you're also including a piece of coral that is hundreds of thousands of years old in a moment that you will share forever. And I think that's quite beautiful. I hope you enjoy. Stones. I'm afraid of the vast depth. I don't do more than wade in the lakes we call our homes, but that's okay with me. There are more reasons than water to walk along the shoreline. You showed me a window that looks directly into the past thousands of years ago, without ever having to leave the present. With every step I take, every stone I pick up and lick, in search of that sacred pattern, I feel you with me. The hunt isn't always fruitful, not in a physical sense, but somehow, either way, I always feel fulfilled. But every now and then, when that ancient coral crosses my path, I can feel the magic of life span across eons, in the immortality of the earth in my palms. Not only in that moment do I feel the infinite energy of Mother Nature across millennia, I can also feel you celebrate the find along with me. I hear, "Good job, that's a nice one," in your unmistakable tone. I like to think we're both finding one. Stones identical to one another. A shared spirit within each fossil entangled through dimensions. I hope that as I place the beloved stone into my pocket, you do as well. Fuzzy is a poem dedicated to pets. Those family members that we've collected throughout the years that we can't imagine our life without. It is a somber poem that is slowly realizing that pets won't be there forever, and at some point they will be gone, and the fear of losing that memory of them, the sound they make, what they feel like. I feel like it's a very realistic fear for all of us, and something we've all come to terms with at some point. I hope you enjoy this one. I'm going to try to make it all the way through it with my dog sitting at the end of my bed. Wish me luck. I'm gonna need it. Fuzzy. From your ears to your eyes, the front of your chest and the tip of your tail, all fuzzy. The moment I heard your little peats on the floor, I knew my life from then on would forever be all fuzzy. So many late nights with you curled up against me, making the blankets extra warm. Snuggles of love and safety, all fuzzy. You zooming through the house, chasing down plush prey, only stopping to nap on the back of the couch, all fuzzy. I appreciate your company more than you can ever know. As you're lying in my lap, petting your soft coat eases my soul, all fuzzy. But sitting here, I suddenly notice I'm crying, because I realize one day you'll be gone. And though I'm terrified to lose you, my worst worry would be my memory of you slowly getting all fuzzy. Peanut is a poem about the grief a family endures after the loss of an infant. In 2003, my family dealt with this specific scenario twice in 1 year. It was unimaginable, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it's something that needs to be talked about, because when we think of death, we think of someone who lives a full life and someone who has made mistakes and has made good and bad choices throughout their life. But when a family loses a baby, it's almost like it's a feeling of what else could we have done? What did we do wrong, and what could we have done differently? And it's its own kind of hell. I don't know how to explain it unless you've been through it. If you have been through it, I hope this poem helps in some way. Peanut. 12 days is a curious amount of time. It can be long and grueling, surrounded by parched dunes in an ancient desert, feeling so far away from all you've ever known, fighting mostly the grit of Mother Earth, trying to reclaim from us what's rightfully hers. Or it can be oh so short, fleeting by like an old memory, wandering through a sea of wildflowers, grains of time floating past you, but being unable to hold all of them at once. But those 12 days in spring, for us, were simply magical, while to the rest of the world they were only more dark days in the darkest of times. It's strange how differently 12 days can feel depending on which glasses you decide to look towards the past with. Those of us who were fortunate enough to hold you had known you were something special, though we were all yet to realize we had actually been in the presence of an angel. 12 days that will forever feel sacred, holy and divine even. A blessing with bookends, built of worry and grief. Your sacrifice, your unconditional love, like a match strike in the night, pierced the dark that surrounded us. You were a blessing that hadn't ended in the last moments of your time here. That 12-day blessing will forever span decades. For the present day we see is covered with your fingerprints, always protected by your love, forever emboldened by the time you shared with us. Simply because of you, our peanut, hope is something we no longer go without. We aren't ever made to reach very deep to find it. Since the moment you arrived, Hope has dwelled within our hearts. Keeper is a poem dedicated to my first real girlfriend that I had in high school. She was a goalie for the school's soccer team, and without her influence, I never would have been into soccer ever, and it's now one of my favorite sports to watch, which I think is awesome. But also a little bittersweet because a few years ago she was killed in a car accident, and there's a lot of things I'd like to thank her for, but I'll never get the chance to. In this poem, I compare the position she played on the field to the position I hold now as one of the people that carry her memory and protect it, because that's what she would have done for me or any of her friends. She was an incredible person, and we all miss her a lot. We love you, Misty. Keeper. I encountered you by association, simply a friend of a friend. I knew small things about you already, and everything I knew I liked. We had been introduced for a while when you let your feelings slip. I thought the rumor was a joke at first, our friend's idea of a laugh. But then my doubts vanished when you saw me across the football pitch. You knew that I knew now, and you couldn't hold it in any longer. I have yet to witness excitement that's equivalent. I'm sure it's portrayed in movies, though. You hugged me like we were already lovers, and I had just landed after months of being away. I wish you could do that now. That autumn day in high school, I watched you play keeper, not knowing the path I had been set on would lead me to being one as well. Not one of boxes or goals, but a keeper of memories. Imprints in my subconscious, too powerful to disappear. Every breathtaking save I may see on the pitch pales in comparison to the save you made with me. With such beauty and grace as well. Astonishing. You somehow taught me to love another while I was struggling to love myself. For that alone, I am forever grateful. I wish I could tell you all of this, but until we're together once more, just know you've got me on the line, and I'm keeping your memory alive, just like you would have for me. Weather is a very important poem to me, although I wrote it for my grandfather, who shared my passion for weather and watching the clouds. I I wrote this specifically in a way that it could apply to any form of grief. It compares the feeling of loss to how the water cycle works, how grief is a process and it's not something that you just go through and it's over forever. It's more of a cycle, it's more of an ebb and flow of emotion, and as time goes on, it does get easier, but you learn to appreciate it differently. It's not that it goes away, it's you store it in a different way. I hope you like this one. It's one of my favorites, and it means a lot to me. Weather. When I look at the clouds, I witness more than only ice crystals, held up by the heavens, floating upon jet streams unseen. I hear your voice as well. I know with absolute certainty that on any cloud-filled day, there is at least one water molecule above that has known us both. I can feel it. Though, as the water we've splashed through has evaporated into the mesosphere, just as the air we've shared has mixed with the storms from foreign seas, My memories of us do the same. I may be sad in the moment when I can no longer recall every detail, but it eases me to know that the specifics are not lost. They're only being recycled. What slips away while I sleep each night accumulates high above me, forms a mass of unthinkable size, and when it can hold my grief no longer, it rains. I used to hate the rain, always so cold and wet, relentless and unforgiving, although now I realize exactly the purpose of it. For with every raindrop I feel on my face, every ripple and every puddle I wade through, every soft thud on the canopy of my tent, comes with something I've lost, a memory of you. The last poem I have in this collection is called Jipa. It's written directly for my grandfather, so there are going to be references in this that not everyone will understand, but that's okay. It's more for me than anything else. I hope there are parts of it that are still useful for others, though. This one means probably the most to me. I hope you enjoy it. Jipa. In the crisp autumn air, frost covering the grass, winter's heavy hand subtly looming, I still awaken warmly. As I see you across the room, getting prepared for the adventures that await us, I can't help but notice that you're humming a tune. Happy and hopeful, carefree and excited for what the day might entail, what the wilderness could reveal. I miss those days, unaware of any other outcomes except for exploration and success, seeing the world together, faraway vistas we've yet to witness. I know now, while among those many acres, surrounded by familiar flora and fauna, I learned more than only the harmony of nature. It was louder than the call of squirrels in the trees, more elusive than the buck deep within the thickets of the swamp, more beautiful than the panfish made from rainbows, quicker than the rabbits that run when we pass. The secrets of life that I learned in those early years still live within me in everything I do, but there will always be tiny memories that are slowly lost to time, still living somewhere hidden, small details lying undisturbed for years. Legend has it, if you begin hiking at dawn and walk through the pines towards the secret lake, long past the lost copper mines, deep within the ancient forest, the trees still talk of our adventures. I would like to thank everybody for listening to this audio version of Sugar Cubes and Saltwater. Your support means everything to me, and these poems wouldn't exist without those of you willing to read them and listen to them. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Until the next collection, I love you all. Love, Carrie Lee.